The emergency sirens howled through the colony ship Eclipse Dawn. Chief Navigator Lena Voss sprinted through smoke-filled corridors, while sparks rained from broken ceiling panels. The ship shook violently beneath her boots. Somewhere deep below the decks, metal screamed as another section tore apart. Status report. Lena shouted into her wrist comm. Static answered first, then a trembling voice. "Ma'am." The singularity drive collapsed. "Containment is gone. We're bleeding atmosphere across 7 decks. "How long?" A pause. "Maybe 4 hours before total failure." Lena stopped for half a second. For hours. They were beyond mapped territory, months away from the nearest human settlement. No patrols. No rescue routes. No hope. The exploration fleet had called this sector dead space. Empty. Harmless. They were wrong. She reached the command bridge. Officers stared at her with pale faces lit by flashing amber alarms. Some were already coughing blood from radiation exposure. Others sat silently, too exhausted to panic anymore. Outside the viewport stretched endless darkness. Beautiful, cold, uncaring. "Keep the distress pulse active," Lena ordered. Her communications officer hesitated. "No one's out here." "I know." Still, the beacon pulsed into the void. Hours crawled by. The ship became quieter as systems failed one after another. Lights dimmed. Heat vanished. Frost crept across the windows. Medic Aaron Pike collapsed beside the navigation console, vomiting blood onto the floor. The ship's doctor scanned him once and lowered the device without speaking. Everyone understood. The radiation wasn't killing them anymore. It had already killed them. Lena sat alone for a moment and stared at an old photo clipped beside her station. Her daughter, Mira, 7 years old, gap-toothed smile, waiting for her mother to come home. A sudden shout shattered the silence. "Contact!" The bridge snapped alive. The sensor officer stared at his screen in disbelief. Unknown vessel emerging from dark space. Lena stood instantly. "Military?" "I don't know. Configuration doesn't match anything in the archives." The ship appeared slowly outside the viewport. It looked alive. Its surface flowed like liquid silver beneath the stars, curving and shifting as though breathing. Rings of pale violet light pulsed gently along its hull. No visible weapons. No visible engines. Just impossible elegance. A signal arrived. The translator struggled for several seconds before resolving the alien language into human speech. "Damaged human vessel. This is the Athari convoy ship Silent Tide. Your reactor instability threatens total biological failure. Do you request assistance?" Lena nearly broke down hearing those words. "Yes," she whispered. Then louder. "Yes, please." Silence followed. Then the alien voice returned. "Our law forbids intervention in pre-alliance civilizations." Lena felt her heart sink. "But," the voice continued, "we have chosen disobedience." Docking tunnels extended from the silver ship like unfolding wings. The Athari came aboard within minutes. They were tall beings with translucent skin beneath glowing robes. Their eyes shone blue-white like frozen stars. Human instincts screamed that they should look terrifying. Instead, they moved with extraordinary gentleness. They carried injured crew members carefully. They shared oxygen, medicine, warmth, hope. Their commander introduced herself as Overseer Kale. "You risk punishment helping us," Lena said weakly while Athari medics treated her radiation burns. Kale tilted her luminous head. "Compassion that requires permission is not compassion." Every human aboard survived. All 16 of them. The Athari repaired enough of the Eclipse Dawn to guide it safely back toward human territory. For 2 weeks, the alien vessel remained beside them, escorting them through dangerous space. On the final day, Lena stood with Kale inside the docking chamber, between both ships. "You saved our lives," Lena said quietly. "Humanity won't forget this." Kale emitted a soft clicking sound. Ithari amusement. "All species say such things." "No," Lena replied. "Humans mean it." She removed a small memory crystal from her jacket. "My people remember debts for generations. If your civilization ever needs aid, send this signal to humanity." Kale accepted the crystal politely, though she clearly did not understand its importance. Why would she? The Ithari believe kindness should be forgotten once given. Humans believe the opposite. Then the ships parted ways. Lena returned home. Years passed. The story became a historical footnote buried inside Terran archives. Children grew up hearing legends about the Silver Ship that rescued doomed explorers beyond dead space. Lena's daughter Mira heard it more than anyone. And far away, Overseer Kale suffered for her decision. The Ithari High Chorus stripped her rank and exiled her to distant patrol duty for violating non-interference doctrine. Still, every so often, she replayed Lena's old message. Humanity remembers. The phrase haunted her. 38 years later, the galaxy burned. The Dravic ascendancy emerged from a void between systems without warning. Massive black warships descended upon Ithari colonies, harvesting worlds instead of conquering them. Nobody understood why. Entire planets vanished. Cities were emptied overnight. The Dravic didn't negotiate. They collected, and when they finished collecting, they erased what remained. The peaceful Ithari civilization collapsed within months. Refugee fleets fled burning worlds, while defense stations shattered like glass against Dravic weapons. On the edge of a ruined star system, Commander Saren Kale watched another moon die. She was Overseer Kale's granddaughter. "Evacuation corridors are failing," her officer reported quietly. "We've lost contact with 3 civilian convoys." Saren closed her eyes. "Millions dead already. Maybe billions soon. We requested aid from the Federation. No response. The Coalition? They denied involvement. Nobody wanted war with the Dravic. No one wanted to die for the Ithari. That night Saren visited her grandmother aboard a medical frigate. Kale was ancient now, fragile beneath dim medical lights. "The galaxy has abandoned us," Saren said softly. Kale reached weakly beneath her blanket and pulled out an old human memory crystal. "Not everyone." Saren frowned. "The humans?" she asked. "Grandmother. That was decades ago." Kale activated the crystal. Lena Voss's voice filled the room. "Humanity remembers its friends." Saren sighed sadly. "Humans barely know we exist now." Kale smiled faintly. "Then you understand nothing about humans." "What do you mean?" "They build their identities from memory. Gratitude becomes inheritance to them." Saren stared at the crystal. "You really believe they would come?" Kale looked toward the stars outside her window. "I believe humans are terrifying creatures when loyalty is involved. Against every regulation, Saren transmitted a message toward human territory. She attached the ancient recording. Images of burning Ithari worlds. Dead children. Shattered fleets. One final sentence. "You once said humanity remembers." Then she erased the transmission logs and waited for nothing. 2 weeks later, hyperspace tore open above the refugee convoy. Thousands of signatures flooded the sensors. Saren's blood turned to ice. "Dravic fleet?" she asked. The sensor officer stared speechless at his display. "No, Commander." "Hundreds." "No, thousands of ships. Military cruisers. Cargo transports. Mining barges. Civilian freighters. Ancient destroyers dragged from museums. Everything humanity could launch. And every ship broadcast the same message across open channels. We remember." Saren fell to her knees. Humanity had come, not because of treaties, Not because of politics. Because one Athari ship had saved 16 strangers nearly 40 years earlier. At the center of the fleet stood the dreadnought Resolute Horizon. Fleet Marshal Elias Voss stood on its bridge staring at the old recording of his mother, Lena. He remembered hearing her tell the story as a child. How aliens had chosen mercy over law. How kindness had saved his family line. The response crashed communication systems across human space. Every kind of vessel answered. Some captains came because ancestors survived aboard the Eclipse Dawn. Others came simply because humanity protected its friends. Within days, an armada formed itself without central command. And then they crossed the stars. The Dravik were waiting. Supreme Executor Malvek watched the approaching human fleet with amusement. Another weak species seeking martyrdom, he sneered. Then the battle began, and the humans fought unlike anything the Dravik had encountered. Human ships rammed enemy carriers after losing engines. Civilian transports deployed hidden missile batteries. Mining lasers sliced through armor plating. Medical frigates placed themselves between refugees and incoming fire. Humans died by the thousands and kept advancing. The Dravik discovered something horrifying. Humans fought harder for loyalty than survival. When the Dravik flagship nearly destroyed the Resolute Horizon, dozens of smaller ships threw themselves into line of fire without hesitation. Executor Malvek watched in disbelief. Why are they sacrificing themselves for aliens? He demanded. A human transmission cut across every battlefield frequency. Elias Voss appeared on screen, blood running down one side of his face. Because they save our family, he said calmly. They saved 16 humans 40 years ago. Malvek stared at him. That was generations ago. Elias smiled coldly. To humans, that was yesterday. The battle raged for 19 hours. Then the Dravik broke. For the first time in centuries, the ascendancy retreated. Not because humanity was stronger, because humanity was unstoppable. Weeks later, Ithari refugees returned home beneath protection of a permanent human defense fleet. On the rebuilt capital world, Old Kale finally met Elias Voss. "You are Lena's son?" she asked weakly. "Grandson," Elias corrected gently. Kale's glowing eyes widened. "All this for one promise?" Elias looked around at humans and Ithari rebuilding cities together. "No," he said softly. "For one act of kindness." Kale trembled with emotion. "I never understood your species." "Most don't," Elias admitted. Far away across the galaxy, news networks replayed the story endlessly. A single compassionate decision had echoed across 4 decades and started a war humanity willingly chose to fight. New sayings spread among traders, smugglers, diplomats, and pirates alike. Never betray a human ally. Never threaten someone humans call friend. And most importantly, if you save a human life, humanity will arrive eventually.